About that, folks. I need to figure that out somehow. But at the end of the day,
Oh, we're back. Okay. Hello there, everybody. We're back. Technical difficulties and all that. It may have been Twitch. It may have been us. We don't know.
probably us.
Uh, it might even be a bit of both.
Mm.
No. So, for the time being, we are back, and I think where do you believe we cut out? Let's just reiterate.
We
I
cut
th-
out right
Hogback
before
is
we talked about right when we were talking about Hogback. Yeah,
I think I think it cut out just as I was saying that Hogback is basically coaching from that one DBZ movie.
DBZ movie or a DBZA movie?
Bit of both. I mean, he's the mad scientist who just basically gets taken out by the big bad of the arc in the end, or
mm.
big bad of the movie.
And I think the I think the worst part of Hogback is the fact that he does not seem to be unique in any way,
Mm.
right? Like it's starting to feel like the more ethical individuals like Chopper and his father and Kureha, they're kind of rarer than we initially
Mm.
assumed, and that's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll need to talk about another similarly unethical individual in a few videos.
We absolutely will. But getting back to it, probably one of my favorite moments of the Oars fight is when he gets stuck and the Straw Hats just fucking start beating the
Go to
shit out of
town.
him, knowing
Mm.
that there's probably an element of taking out frustration on Luffy.
There is definitely an element of catharsis there where they're just like,
I
okay,
would
we love
not be
Luffy, but sometimes
surprised.
we love Luffy, but sometimes we just need to kick the crap out of him.
Yep.
Yep.
It's just like that's just what Luffy makes you do.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure Luffy even feels that way sometimes about himself. But yeah, I will say it was very satisfying when Robin and Chopper teamed up to break Hogback's spine with a German suplex.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was also very satisfying when Nami zapped Absalom.
Yeah, since especially since last arc, Nami has been becoming much more effective,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because she's been kind of lacking a really cohesive fighting style, but she finally has one now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Yep.
really, what she was lacking was not the fighting style or the knowledge; it was just
The weapon.
the weapon. Yeah, because it's like it's one of those things where yes, personal power is important in this universe, but gadgets help,
Hmm.
I
right?
mean,
As
a good
Nami and
chunk of the cast is very much tech users. Like Usopp and Nami are prime examples.
it's though interestingly enough, they're also still durable as hell.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
I
Usopp should have been dead during the Mr. Four fight.
Usopp? What is
Usopp.
wrong with me today? Why am I mispronouncing their names?
I don't know.
I mean, you'll know it's bad when you call Zoro Zolo by accident.
I would never.
Are you sure
Are
about
you
that?
100% sure about that?
Well, just remember he's left-handed, so, not right-handed, so you might want to make the adjustment.
It is kind of crazy that Lazora is canonically left-handed.
Hmm.
Is it though?
Yeah,
I
that's
I
why
don't
he
know.
wears his sword on the right.
No, I mean it's just like
Doesn't know he changes which side they're on, based on I don't know, can't remember what it's a part of, but like when he's actually being serious, they're on one side, and when he's not, they're on the other. I'm fairly sure.
I'll admit, I
Not
just
be
looked it up
surprising.
so I could so I could associate handedness and letter changes and maybe torture all of you just randomly while you're reading.
Oh yes, no, I hate that, but it is interesting. No, I mean I was just always like Zoro's probably at least partially ambidextrous.
I mean, he kind
Yeah.
of has to be, considering he
He
wields
does
two
have to,
swords.
yes, that's true, but like, and to be fair, a lot of his most powerful single sword techniques are two handed anyway, so
Mm.
it's a bit of a moot
Yeah.
point. But yeah, this is a very interesting arc for general world building because it was kind of the first look at a much bigger chunk of the world
Mm.
simply because we met a lot of characters with various backgrounds and we've met someone who is not hiding behind an established small power, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know Crocodile. Like, look, Crocodile, let's be real. He got done dirty for plot reasons,
Yeah.
right? Like, he showed up early enough in the plot that there needed to be somewhat contrived reasons for him to be defeated.
I think Oda probably realized that he made a bit of a misstep in making Crocodile so powerful so early on, and had to sort of, go up with a few reasons that why Luffy was able to beat him at that point, and then reset the power scale.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with a lot of shonen, right? Sometimes you just get those moments where it's like, okay, I can either do something contrived or we end the series early. One or the other. I wonder which I'm going to do.
Yeah, because, like, if Croc had been fighting from full power from day one, I'm pretty sure no one would have survived the Alabasta arc.
Mm.
Oh, absolutely not. Like,
But
it's kind of funny that the earlier warlords introduced are probably the strongest ones.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Mihawk is, until further evidence to the contrary, Mihawk is probably the single strongest warlord just because his physical stats are off the charts.
Yeah.
Not just that, it's also he is canonically the world's best swordsman.
Except, I still feel like that's a bit of a technicality, right? I don't think, because, like, remember that Shanks is
Down an
also a
arm.
swordsman. Yeah, but the thing is,
I still don't know. I still prefer the idea that Mihawk stopped fighting Shanks after losing the arm because it actually made Shanks more powerful.
I mean, it would only make sense, like,
But that also plays into my my insane idea that Shanks just goes around cutting people's arms off to make them stronger.
We'll talk about that more when it becomes relevant later.
Hey, I'm convinced probability doesn't work the same way in that world. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Let's be honest. If probability worked the way it works in reality, the most common phrase in any paper would be "there were no survivors."
Mm.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of, I mean, to be fair, there's another reason for that is that people in this world, even just regular ass people, seem to be very, very durable.
Yeah, no, it seems to be really hard to kill people
And
in this setting.
speaking
Like, for example, Pell, who survived a fucking nuke.
Somehow.
Yeah, that one, even by the standards set, was just no.
But
Yeah,
but,
that
but
one was kind of a.
speaking of durability, I do want to get onto the whole Kuma and Zoro thing.
Yes, but let's just wrap up Thriller Bark.
I want to touch on the whole Ors and Moria fight real quick, and then we'll talk about Zoro, and then
Go
we'll
ahead.
move on to the next arc. Because I think the Ors Moria fight is one of the few big fights in the series that's a group fight involving all the Straw Hats.
Yes, actually.
Because most of the fights are either one-on-ones or tag teams.
Yeah, I don't think. Has there been
I don't
another
think
group
I don't
fight
think there
in the
hasn't been.
series since?
Not with the
No,
not
there
with the
hasn't.
Straw Hats for sure. There have
It's
been.
a
It's
very
kind of interesting, isn't
current
it?
Mm,
series, but the
It's
the team showing is really fun because you get to see all sorts of cool combination attacks.
I mean the one that ended up taking down Oz, uh, Nami making it rain, Frankie and Usopp freezing it and pinning him in place, Zoro and Sanji forcing his back straight, and then Luffy fucking
Shattering
breaking
his
his
spine.
spine. Like, just a really cool combo attack that, yeah, we don't get
and
to
that
see that
they
often.
kind of like and they made a plan and executed it kind of perfectly. There
Yeah.
were so many things that could have gone wrong, but like you
It helped
kind
that
of
Chopper
forget
was the
some.
one who made the plan too.
Mm.
Well, yes, he wouldn't be the one to be able to make a plan for how to most effectively disable someone,
Yeah.
right? People forget that doctor who knowledgeable in anatomy also you don't know how to fix it. You also know how to break it.
He's also got brain point as well, which will help.
But yeah, it's something that you kind of forget because of how the format tends to be solo fights, but
Mm.
they are very much a very good team with good chemistry
Yeah.
and teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like they all trust each other implicitly,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very interesting to see that. Though I will say the monster trio or something else. Like the monster trio thus far have one group fight total in the series, and it's in Sabaody, and it's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we get to that, we have to address the bear in the room.
We also didn't talk about Nightmare Luffy.
I'm not really.
Not a
I don't
fan.
know. I'm not really a fan of Nightmare Luffy. Lockstar, what did you think of Nightmare Luffy?
Mm.
Well, I mean, it was just pretty basic. It's like, okay, just stuff a bunch of shadows to the guy. We're good. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, it's fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't know. I just like it's the whole your own abilities versus borrowed power trope, isn't it?
Mm.
I can see that.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, Logstark. Any other standouts from this arc that we've covered thus far? Is there anything that we haven't covered yet that comes to mind?
Not really. I mean, the only other thing that's coming to mind at the moment, because we've talked about that pacifistas being a thing, you know.
That's
Oh,
we'll get to that in the Sabaody
Next
discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
that gets that all happened along the time the little Laboon story came up. So along with the Viva card. So I guess we'll get to all those.
Oh right, Lola.
Lola. I was gonna say we haven't talked about Lola, and I honestly I really like Lola. I feel like we don't get enough characters like her in One Piece,
How
where
so?
it's just like a sympathetic character, female character who isn't conventionally attractive.
Mm.
Yeah, though the fact that it's played for comedy that she's not conventionally attractive is a bit
Well,
not
I don't think
great.
any of the characters who reject her on screen do so because she's not conventionally attractive. Hell, Frankie's response is, "You're a gem, but I'm just too super."
Oh,
To be
Frankie.
fair, yes, no, that's perfectly understandable. Yes.
Oh, Frankie.
So,
Let's be real, though.
yeah,
It's the reason Sanji rejected her.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say
mean,
all
Sanji's
but
made
Sanji.
things, but I don't think he's particularly shallow.
Are you sure about that? I don't think that's as accurate as we might want it to be, Jack.
Whatever. Anyways,
Well, I mean, people are safer if he is. He needs to be more shallow.
I mean,
I
think
will.
about
I
his
will
reaction
say,
to Kokoro.
right. We'll talk about
Kokoro,
that.
Lola, there's examples.
Mm.
Right. I will say though, I like Nami and her friendship with Lola
Yeah.
because it is very nice. And the fact that Nami giving Lola treasure causes Luffy and Usopp to freak out is hilarious.
Yeah, they're like, who are you and what have you done with our navigator?
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Action is storm is coming, a storm is coming.
yeah. So yeah, apparently Lola is the daughter of some big shot pirate. Wonder if that's going to be relevant in the future.
Yeah, I wonder.
I mean, they've got the mother's Vivra card now, so soon we'll come across her at some point.
Logstar, what are your thoughts on the direction that might take?
Well, I mean, but we've already said we already know basically any character. Most of the characters we've seen, I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing again. So yeah, that's coming into play. Though the ace thing with the Viva card is
Concerning.
well, yeah, basically that one. The reaction to that, like, I'm just, yeah, he'll just get mad at me if I do anything, if I come by, that's a little odd as a reaction, but
Mm-hmm.
It is, though it does come into play quite significantly later on.
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm betting that one definitely.
Especially considering we already know that Ace is not really doing so hot right now. get it? Because this is a power is he's fine.
So Zolo and Kuma.
Damn you, Will.
Okay, you know what? No, I deserve that one. I will give it to you this one time. Also, can we just talk about one thing? I hate 4Kids with a burning passion.
We all know.
However,
Classic,
Heat Fist is a better localization than Fire Fist.
yes.
I think it just rolls off the tongue better in English.
Your miles will vary.
I prefer the alliteration of Fire Fist.
Yeah, alliteration's fun. Anyways, getting back to Zoro versus Kuma.
I mean, it's
Well,
the whole the arrival of Kuma in general is just like, oh, this is unexpected. Oh no, this
Kuma's
is going to
fruit.
go horribly wrong.
Kuma's fruit is probably, and this is what makes him so terrifying. Kuma has one of those fruits that on a conceptual level is very, very powerful and frightening. Except unlike Buggy and Moria and the other fruit that we see like that, Kuma actually knows how to use his to the fullest of its abilities. That's terrifying.
We've just been talking about a strong fruit that isn't necessarily used to its fullest extent. Here's a fucking strong fruit that is used to its fullest extent, and it curb stomps everything.
So, Logstar, what is your thoughts on Kuma's fruit?
I mean, anything that seems to have like a teleport ability to it, not for you. Because I mean, the one line about vacation kind of tipped off what was going on. Yeah, that's going to be a little rough to fight against because basically you just can't get touched. I'm not even going to the anything else. I'm just dealing with that much.
The fact that you just cannot get touched, but the fact that Kuma can just be right next to you within seconds.
Yeah.
Or within like an infinitesimal period of time, Kuma can be right next to you.
Here's the other.
And he's not exactly slow without the fruit.
Kuma has the 1-2 combination of being ridiculously fast and having an attack that's basically an instant kill.
Theoretically, he can send a fruit user to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
The other thing he can theoretically do is push out his own pain and fatigue.
Yeah, okay. No, I was going to get into that. Kuma is the first example of a fruit that can be used on a conceptual level. Which is terrifying, because that's straight up in the realm of that's less shonen and more like Cradle Abaddon level.
Yeah, that's some hardcore shit.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
As
like
Leonidas likes
this
to
is
call it.
basically just a specialized form of reality warping. So for those of you who don't know, Kuma ate the pawpaw fruit, which gives him cute little paws on his hands. They're adorable.
Until
And
you
their
get
power,
blasted by them.
yes, so their power is that they can push things.
At the speed of
Anything.
fucking light, if he wants to.
Yes, he can push things at the speed of light, and he can push abstract concepts, like
Mhm.
otters.
But yeah,
Really? No reaction to that.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm supposed to parse that as push them as if you're pushing an otter, or trying to call an otter an abstract concept. Still trying
oh,
Otters are
Sarazanmai,
abstract concepts.
Sarazanmai, sorry. That's on me. That's on me.
Damn it.
God damn it, Mill! I was waiting on you to make.
Yeah, no,
One of us
sorry.
should have made
That's
the
my bad.
connection.
That's my bad. It's been a
Yeah,
while
so
since I've
otters
watched
are an
Sarazanmai.
abstract
Sarazanmai.
concept is a recurring line in the anime Sarazanmai.
The worst
Which
part.
I only saw one
you've
episode. I only
you've
saw
seen the
one
first
episode.
episode, yes.
Yeah, I gotta go through more of it. And
Butt stuff drugs.
The worst part is I have a Sarazanmai fan art picture on my other monitor right now. Like, ugh.
Wow.
Oh
You
my!
dropped the ball.
Yeah.
What kind of fan art, Mill?
Uh, it's not what you're thinking, but it is.
Sure, it's not.
It's really not.
Who's the meat in that sandwich?
What do you think is the meat in that sandwich?
Um. God, sorry, I'm forgetting his name. Kazuki. That's it. Kazuki.
Yes. No, definitely,
He's the only
definitely. Glasses boy is definitely a bottom.
Glasses Boy is taking it
And-
from Kazuki. Kuji is giving it to Kazuki, but we're off topic.
Unsurprisingly. We are
Yes.
very off.
That's
But
all
yes, yeah. So he can push things like on a conceptual level. So he can push the very idea of pain and fatigue out of someone, not just himself, other people as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's what he does.
And-
Does with, or he takes Luffy's pain and fatigue and subjects Zoro to it. In what is probably
Well, no.
Not before he one-shots everyone else with a pressurized air bomb.
Yeah, so basically, theoretically, Kuma could make a star or a black hole,
Theoretically, yeah.
Mm.
right? Like Logstar, did you catch what he was doing with his Ursus shock?
Well, yeah, a lot of pressure. Of course, with pushing, the way you put pushing abstract concepts, all I'm picturing is some future thing where they just have him push things through an antenna towards on all of civilization. That's probably not a One Piece thing.
Yeah, but it's within his capabilities. But yeah, he basically just makes a pressure bomb. Those are that's a thing that does exist, and somehow no one dies. I wonder how.
Yeah, I wonder.
I wonder why it is that this massively powerful entity failed to kill anyone.
I wonder.
Anyways,
I wonder why he uses lines like the vacation one instead of just being like murder.
Mm.
He also
So
just
yeah, there's
carries
clearly something up with Kuma, but
yeah,
it's not
Kuma,
clear at this
and
point.
also he just carries a Bible around for some reason, which apparently Bibles exist in this universe.
Yeah, Kuma is one of the most enigmatic characters in the series.
Yeah.
And then he basically helps Luffy survive by preventing him from going into shock.
Yeah.
And he also
Right? Because the implication is that Luffy would have died of shock from the sheer amount of accumulated pain and fatigue.
Zoro almost did. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
that
yeah.
moment with Zoro just standing there completely bloodied and just saying,
That is
nothing
probably
happened.
the thing that established Zoro as one of my, if not my single favorite character of all time in
and
any media property.
No, it is.
Yes.
that
It
is
is.
just one of the best moments in the series,
Yeah.
honestly.
It is.
Where he's just standing there with his arms crossed, covered in blood, and then Sanji goes up to him and asks, "What in God's name happened here?" And Zoro is like, "Nothing. Nothing at all."
I mean, it's not just that. It's the fact that he was willing to give up his life for Luffy. Considering that, when we met him, he was so... I mean, the entire series, so devoted to being the world's best swordsman, but was willing to give it up for Luffy.
Yes, you forget the fact that despite and you see this other times in the series, like for example the time when he interceded to make sure Usopp actually apologized properly, as opposed to just Luffy caving and letting him back in.
Yeah.
You forget the fact that despite the fact that Zoro has his ambitions, he is basically Luffy's best friend.
Yeah.
No,
and effectively his first mate.
He is Luffy's friend, and he is incredibly loyal to Luffy.
Yes, he has acknowledged that despite the fact that he has his own ambitions, he cares about Luffy enough that he is willing to give them up in a heartbeat if it means Luffy will be okay.
Which is why.
And I have no difficulty believing that feeling is mutual. By the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, 100%. Like Luffy would absolutely die for any of his crewmates, but especially Zoro. Like Zoro is his first crewmate. Like people underestimate the importance of this, especially when we see certain flashbacks from Rayleigh.
I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is, and this is more about Luffy's basically magnetism. Put any of the other members of the crew there, and I'm damn sure that they would do the exact same thing.
Zoro's probably the only one who would have survived.
No, Zoro is the only one who would have survived it, but all the others would have done it.
Absolutely.
That's also kind of interesting, is that I think this confirms that Zoro, on a purely physical level, is probably at least more durable than Luffy. Because Luffy wouldn't have survived that. He was dying from that.
Well, the point is Luffy makes it through his fights because he's made of rubber, so blunt force attacks do... I don't think they do no damage. I think they do less damage, but they do
negligible damage unless they're incredibly strong.
Yeah, whereas Zoro has to fucking just tank through them.
Yeah. There's also just getting into the fact that Zoro just straight up outright says, when confronting Kuma, he straight up offers his head in place of Luffy's, and Kuma is the one who gives him the option of potentially surviving.
Yeah.
Zoro was straight up willing to die then and there.
Oh, he was.
And it's like, I have no doubts that Luffy would have done the same, but I think what's interesting about this is also that Zoro sees... not so much interesting as it just reinforces how great he is as a character. He sees absolutely no reason to take any credit for this.
No,
yeah.
He sees that as basically just part of his job.
Yeah, that's just that. It's not even on a professional level. That's just Luffy's my friend. That's what friends do for each other.
Yeah.
And he's just it's no big deal.
Yeah, and credit to Sanji, he prevents the Risky Brothers from telling the rest of the crew about what happened.
Yeah, because it's just no, you respect his... and that's the thing, is that when Zoro said nothing happened here, nothing at all, it's not because he was trying to be a badass or trying to actively hide something. It's that he really did think, this is just a matter of course. This is just what we do for each other. So it's nothing.
I mean, that's the thing. We will always get, the bickering between Zoro and Sanji, but, moments like this show that there is genuine respect there.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They bicker the way siblings bicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they are basically siblings.
They are a big family, right? You
And now
always
we
see
have
them
a
yelling at each
grandpa.
other, but that's because they love each other.
Now we have a grandpa to add to the family.
Oh my god, I love Brooke so much.
Same.
Okay, Lockstar, what are your overall impressions on Brooke and the Laboon flashback?
Mm.
And the fact that Laboon, who was apparently just a random whale, became so important down the line.
Well, I mean, I was just happy that East Blue had some of that stuff in it instead of a lot of the setup where it's like, oh, you really gave some like just one more really good thing that's definitely coming back over and over again. That was a good feeling. I will say the whole flashback, the way it was a little more fractured and back and forth, I think that did work really well.
Yes, because it really does give an
Yeah.
idea of the fact that Brooke's mental state is not in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it could work that way even with mental state being in a good place. I mean, your brain just doesn't go all in a row, all in a line, right?
Yeah, and not to mention like
Brooke doesn't
he's
even have a
old.
brain.
Brooke
Literally.
is also almost 90 years old at this point.
Mm.
Yeah, and like even if you don't count the 50 years of isolation, he was still the oldest member of the Straw Hats,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? Like even if
he
you
was in his
count,
late 30s.
I mean,
he was nearly it was late 30s or early 40s.
I mean, it's hilarious. It's pointed out in a hilarious way to me in Sabaody when they're talking with Raleigh, and she just goes, "Roger, I remember a rookie like that."
Yeah, I remember some young kid named Roger. Yeah, which is just great because
yeah.
yeah, Brooke predates both great ages of piracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
This is the second great age of piracy, and Brooke predates even that.
yep.
It's kind of very interesting if you think about it, because the
It does
Void
put
Century
things
was
in
not that
perspective.
long ago, so like time kind of means a lot in a society like in One Piece, right? Like
Mm.
the world changes very, very quickly in One Piece.
Mm.
Wait, so how much information has he gotten, and how much doesn't he have?
Yeah, right? Like there's a lot like we have it's played for comedy for the most part, but there's a lot of like little jokes and gags like the Roger thing that is just like, "Oh, yeah, he's missing a lot of information while at the same time he knows a lot of stuff."
Mm.
Right? Cuz like
Mhm.
Brooke is pretty strong, but he was considered kind of like an average pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, what they wanted was a musician, and they got one. So win-win.
I mean,
yeah.
we've mentioned a lot of Brooks gags. I just always love whenever he does the skeleton gag.
Skull joke.
Yo, skull joke.
It's always
my
funny
favorite,
to me. Though my favorite
my
one
favorite
is at the end of. No, you go ahead, Fuzzy.
I never fail to laugh at 45 degrees.
Oh yeah, that one's also good. No,
That's great.
my
My head.
my favorite one is the one at the end of Sabaody, which we will get to.
Before we do, can we just take a quick break? Just a couple minutes.
Yeah,
Sure.
and Sabaody is not as long either, so we should be.
It's not as
Have
long.
time to
It's
say.
nowhere near as long, but it's very
It's really
dense.
dense.
Yeah.
Yes, but
Yeah.
so yeah.
Just take a couple minutes.
Yes, in the meantime, we can talk about whoever's staying, right? Like
I am.
Jack, feel free to go do your thing.
Jack, go relieve your tiny bladder.
And with that awkward silence out of the way,
Good thing you talked when I was going to make it more awkward.
Anyway, I've
So-
changed the background to the Spouty one now.
which unfortunately our images are blocking Apu and Erouge.
Yeah.
Well, specifically, you are apparently Scratchman Apu Mill, and Jack is apparently Erouge.
Look, it's hard.
That's kinda-
It's hard finding pictures that fit the frame.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm messing with you, but yeah, I will say, while Jack's away, Logstar, do you have any closing thoughts on Thriller Bark?
I think we've gotten to those, so I'm good with that.
I mean, Thriller Bark for me is probably one of my favorite arcs, just because of well, partially because it's it's the shortest saga, and it's one of the shorter arcs. Um, so it doesn't sort of overstay its welcome in that
It's
sense.
very well paced.
Yeah.
I think the reason I like Thriller Bark is because it's the first really broad view arc
Mm.
of the series, because even Annie's Lobby felt a much more personal
Yeah.
than Thriller Bark did.
Mm.
Because it was, right? Annie's
Yeah.
Lobby was very much personal, and it was less yes, on a conceptual level it was the Straw Hats versus the world government, but on a more practical level it was the Straw Hats versus CP9.
Mm. But
Yeah.
it's also just that little bit. Considering how much of a serious arc Enni's Lobby was, the only real sort of source of comedy was Frankie, and to a lesser extent, Sniper King. But whereas this one, there was a lot of comedy in it, and a lot of the comedy landed. Obviously, there was the whole Sanji and Absalom stuff, but for the most part, the comedy did land, which was great.
I can kind of see that. Annie's Lobby, though, I think had a lot of lighthearted moments.
Oh wait,
No,
Jack,
Sabaody- Yeah, I'm back.
are you back or
I am back.
okay? Uh,
Is Logstar here too?
Yeah, yeah. But just wonder if I should do it.
I will say one thing. There's one elephant in the room that we haven't addressed, and neither has Oda.
What's that?
Ships have been going missing in the Florian Triangle since long before Thriller
Moria,
Bark showed up
Moria was there.
with Moria. And then we
We-
see at the
The
end
silhouettes in the fall.
the silhouettes, which are terrifying, massive. Like, they are bigger than any giants we have seen in the series. They are
Even
probably... Yeah, Oars is only like 400 meters tall. Those things look like they are...
They tower over the entirety of Thriller Bark.
Yeah, they are mountain-sized.
Mm.
And we still don't know what those are.
I don't know if Oda will ever address that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the cats of Queen Something. Or Tom Bombadil.
It's just one of those kind of. I think it's better if Oda doesn't address it. As a sense
No, but
of
I kind of
mystery
want to
in the
know.
world.
I know it's better on a conceptual level if he doesn't address it, but I kind of want to know.
Why don't
What
you
are
send him a
the-
letter or something and ask him?
No, someone already has, and he refused to answer. In an SBS, that's what when it first came up, is that he was asked in SBS, "What the heck are those things in the Florian Triangle?" And he was like, yes, I wonder what they are." Like, he said it in a way that suggests that that's just a one-off thing that's not going to be relevant later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, usually he has a very specific way of deflecting things when they are plot relevant later.
Mm.
That one he just straight up said, yeah, no, that's just one of those things that defies explanation. And by defies
Anyway.
explanation, I mean I defy your attempt to explain. But yes, Sabaody, Chabondi, San
Sabaody.
Bonbon, San
So
Bonbon Archipelago.
first
I will
first
contend-
things first, Duval.
I will contend that the first
Logstar
stretch
has
of
thoughts
Sabaody
on Duval.
is one of the funniest parts of the series.
Yeah.
Which is funny considering how heavy it gets at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of necessary for the comedy, in retrospect.
Yes, Logstar, give us your thoughts on Duval.
It was like I was trying to figure. It's like, okay, God, which one could it be? Oh God, I'm like going through my memory trying to figure out like who I've forgotten and all of that, and who it could be that ruined life. And it's like, didn't see that one coming. Did not see that one coming. That that was a worthwhile payoff. I will say that. That was one hell of a payoff for that one joke.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, you'd think that the Sanji poster gag was just a one-off joke to fuck with Sanji, and then it comes back with the Duval reveal, and I will say, it is probably
Yeah.
one of my favorite reveals in the series.
You know what's funny though? The Sanji poster gag isn't over.
No.
There is, in fact, another point in which
Fuzzy.
Sanji having a messed
Fuzzy.
up poster.
That's enough.
Okay,
That's
yes.
enough.
Okay, but yeah, Duval is just like, what are the chances? You were talking about probability earlier, Logstar. What are the chances of that?
Oh god. Just oh god. Well, as said, I'm pretty sure probability is entirely different in this world.
Would not be surprised.
Yeah, I think Dr. Vegapunk screwing with just statistics itself, you know?
Mm.
I mean, it would not surprise me if Vegapunk had negotiated with the laws of reality in the One Piece world and fucked around with them.
Oh, please, let's be real. It wasn't a negotiation, it was a hostage situation. Right? Like, I'm pretty sure Vegapunk didn't ask. But yes, long story short, good lord, that is one of the funniest gags in the series. Even more so for the fact that it's just seemingly so insignificant, but then, like, it's seemingly just a one-off gag. It has it's like a parfait.
It's like an onion. It has layers. That was a terrible accent.
Yes, it was.
I'm not even going to comment on it.
Anyways, there are a bunch of other jokes just scattered about throughout the early parts of Sabaody that I just love.
And
especially
what
one of my favorite.
Logstar. Yeah. What were your thoughts on Luffy's? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jack.
One of my favorite gags is just Luffy's reaction to the Sunny's forward cannon. His eyes are gleaming and he has tears streaming down his face at the sheer awesomeness of the sights.
I find it hilarious, yes, that Luffy, who is basically a super-powered... He's a supervillain. Luffy is literally, in the eyes of the world government, a supervillain. He's a super-powered pirate vigilante, and he's still a Chuny somehow. Right? Luffy is absolutely 100% a Chuny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie is a Chuny who can back it up. I don't think Frankie counts as a Chuny because I don't think you're a Chuny if you can actually do the things you claim to be able to do.
Okay, so
but
I'm just going to throw one more
yes?
joke in. Because, okay, was your thing done? Because if not, I'll just wait until you finish that one. Sorry.
That's fine. My thing is done. Go ahead and say your thing.
Oh,
Logstar.
Fuzzy has disconnected for a second, so.
He'll be fine. Just give it a second.
Should I just continue with the one thing anyway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it anyway. The one joke that got me that was just a one-off thing was just Hachi making. According to the notes, it's supposed to be takoyaki, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering how many people picked that one up.
Yeah, the fact that the octopus is making
Octopus fritters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, oh, okay, that was clearly intentional. Dear God, the horror is everywhere, and no one notices the horror.
I mean, I imagine that for a fish man, eating fish is like if a human being ate apes or monkeys or something.
Yeah, but these were specifically roughly the same speed. Yeah, I mean, basically, or a little closer than that,
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, it is.
Also, just
Sorry,
how intelligent the octopus-adjacent things that he's cooking are. So, just another thing.
Yeah, we have seen plenty of sea creatures that are like sapient fully.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, before I forget, there is something I wanted to bring up that I forgot to during the Throwback segment, and that's the cover stories.
Oh yes, what were I always forget the
The
cover
only
stories, even though they're super relevant.
the ones during Thriller Bark was the second thing of the Where Are They Now with the Water 7 cast, as well as the Enru's cover story, which was one of the strangest, I think.
Yeah, so there's confirmed life on the moon,
Yep.
Yep.
and Eneru can survive there
Yep.
Enru can breathe in
without
space,
oxygen.
just like Batman.
I just like I have so many questions.
I don't think Oda's going to be answering them anytime soon.
That said, Oda did explicitly say that he wants the next series after One Piece to be set in space.
Mm.
Oh my god, Oda's going to write an Enru spin-off.
That's what I'm afraid of, yes.
I mean, look.
He probably won't.
He probably won't, but the fact that it's even on the table is hilarious and terrifying.
Look, we have no answers to those questions, but I have no doubt that Oda will eventually answer them.
Yeah,
I would kind of be surprised if, even if it's like, you know what would be hilarious? If during a climactic battle someone just accidentally blew up the moon and there's just a shot of Eneru just being very confused. Like, that would be sufficient payoff for me.
Hmm. Hello, doggy.
Yes, I apologize for that. That's my dog's gonna dog sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes, what were you saying?
But the obviously, as the background shows, the other thing that we are introduced to in Sabaody is the supernovas.
11 supernovas, which okay. So there's a lot of interesting things to unpack here. We get the bombshell dropped that there is more than one there's more than one route.
Yeah, there's 6 routes.
No, we already knew that.
Or 7 routes.
We already knew that. Back from I think Reverse Mountain. I think Crocus mentioned multiple routes.
But this is the first time it's become relevant because, as it turns out, hang on, I'm just gonna go deal with this dog for a minute. But as it turns out, the Straw Hats are special, yes, but they're not the only rising stars of their generation.
No.
And what are the chances that 9 other crews?
No, 8 other crews.
8 other crews.
8 other crews.
Remember,
Really?
Killer is
Killer.
the
Oh, right, they're 4. You know, I did the math wrong. 8 other crews just happened to set off at the exact same time as the Straw Hats and arrive at the Red Line at the exact same time.
Well, they didn't set off at the same time, but they arrived at the same time.
No, they're in the same generation. Like, they set off in the same year.
Yeah.
Because as we learn later on that they all set off in the same year because we see someone who set off the year before them.
Mm-hmm.
So they set off at least within a year of each other and arrived at the same time. And we meet the first rookie with a bounty higher than Luffy's.
In fairness, that's just because he's more brutal than Luffy, but yes.
Yeah, so I think I find it very difficult to sympathize with some of the supernovas.
Oh, absolutely.
Which one? Beige and Kid?
Beige even is like kind of, but not as much because he very much seems like so here's the thing: they all have Beige and Kid both have the True Companions thing going on. Right? Like
yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, Kid is the only one who explicitly
Civilians.
Who explicitly harms civilians, yes. And that just makes it impossible for me to sympathize with him.
Did it say civilians? I know it said people, but did it say civilians?
It specifically, yeah, I believe Oda did.
Yeah.
either Oda or in an
I
SBS
think
or
Shockey
like
mentions that he targets civilians.
yeah.
Or that
So
he
he
attacks
explicitly
civilians.
Caused many
so
civilian
what?
casualties. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You know what's funny? I
So
think
either
Kid
he
is
targets civilians or he just causes a shit ton of collateral damage.
yeah. No, no. He
I'm
doesn't
gonna get the
specifically
chapter
target
up.
them, but
I'm gonna get the chapter up. Just
but you know what's funny? I think Kid is the only actual traditional pirate
Oh yeah,
in the
no,
series.
that's the point. He is
Yeah.
he is just being
He's
a
an
pirate.
actual realistic take on a pirate.
Yeah.
Everyone
And
else
which is
is
funny
just
because William Kidd is where the One Piece came from.
Yeah.
Because Captain William Kidd is historically speaking is explicitly the only person who confirmed that he left buried treasure somewhere, and he did it on the gallows. Like literally, Roger's speech was inspired by the death speech of Captain William Kidd before he was executed.
Speaking of that, it should be noted that every single one of the supernovas, San, except for Luffy and Killer, are named after historical pirates.
Yes, including Zoro, which is something that not a lot of people know.
Yeah, he's named after Francois L'Aulnay. I don't know French very well, so I don't know if I pronounced it right.
Roronoa is like basically a
Japanese version of that name.
Lolanoa.
L'Aulnay.
Or something. Yeah, so you know you can kind of sound it out based on the Japanese pronunciation.
Yeah.
Though no, Trafalgar is not based on Law isn't based on a pirate. He's based on
It's
the
based
Battle
off
of Trafalgar.
Edward Lowe. No, he's based off Edward Lowe.
He's also explicitly a reference to the Battle of Trafalgar.
Well, yeah, that's his surname.
Okay, yes. Hawkins. Bonnie is the obvious one.
Yeah.
Bonnie is the
What
most
about
obvious.
Rouge?
Give me a second.
Based off of a Arouge, based off a guy named Arouge. Capone Beige is based off of Al Capone. Partially,
Yes, no,
yeah.
I can't. That was not obvious at all. Like a mafia boss named Capone. I wonder what his inspiration was.
Yeah, Arouge's name was taken from a real-life 16th century Ottoman pirate Orus race.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
Also, Drake is also named after a really famous one, Sir Francis Drake.
Also, his name is pronounced Diaz Drake, which is why I take issue with the Sabaody pronounced how it's spelled issue, because, like, his name is spelled X Drake, but his name is pronounced Diaz Drake.
Diaz, for 10.
Diaz. Yes, which, you know, just like, sometimes you can't trust the spelling for the pronunciation
Yeah.
of Sabaody Archipelago.
Still gonna call it Sabaody.
As am I.
Sorry, Fuzzy.
Oh my god! Key Drake.
What?
He's Key Drake. He must be a Nort. Is no one else a Kingdom Hearts person here?
No.
I'm not.
God damn it! You know what? We are playing through the entirety of Kingdom Hearts. I'm making Lost Star do it, and I'm making Mill come along as well.
I did ask in our chat if I should do that.
Yes, no. Lockstar and me are already doing it, so you can join the ride.
Anyway,
alternate. Anyway,
well, at least, your last round will mean that I'll have gotten revenge for Kingdom Hearts in advance.
You know what? Fair enough. I'll take that trade. Honestly, it seems like a good trade to me. But yes, and also Scratchman Apu. What's he based on? I feel he kind of makes me uncomfortable because I don't know. Like I know that's I know that's part of like. No, I mean like I know it's not intentional, but he does kind of seem like a bit of a caricature in some aspects.
Apu's name was taken from a 19th century real-life Chinese pirate called Chui Apu.
That does explain the clothing and the hairstyle.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think that Oda decided to retroactively apply that aesthetic to the Long Arms tribe to explain Apu's aesthetic in
Mhm.
universe.
I mean, there's samurai. Why can't there be Chinese people?
Yeah, well, there's also another country that's also based off of China, but we'll get into that later.
And funnily enough, Oda has said that if One Piece was set in the real world, Apu would be from China.
Unsurprisingly, considering his real life inspiration.
Yeah.
And though the only thing that disappoints me of that, like Luffy would apparently be Brazilian, which I did not see coming.
No, but
Zoro would unsurprisingly be Japanese.
The fact that what's disappointing about that is when asked about Usopp, he said Africa, which is
Given
not
they
a
said Blackbeard would be from Somalia, I'm pretty sure that was just a joke.
okay. Fair enough. Oh
So
God,
it's-
Blackbeard's a Somalian pirate.
Yep.
one of those classic quote unquote the country of Africa things. You mean?
Yeah,
no,
I think he-
I'm pretty
I
sure
think
he
it
said
was
that either as a
intentionally a
joke
joke.
or just to say that Usopp would be from an unspecified African nation because he didn't have a specific place in mind.
But yeah,
Which-
I will say, Logstar, what were your thoughts on Luffy's interaction with Duval's bull?
I don't think it was kind of the unexpected one. Just you do it was set up where it's like you think that's going to be one of those huge fights. Like, oh, that bull's going to be trouble. It's like, no, not really so much. No, not so much. Just one of those pleasant surprises.
I will say this: remember Luffy's interaction with the bull.
Because there is a similar thing going on when Rayleigh is introduced, and he knocks out a shit ton of people with a stare.
He doesn't even stare. He kind of just like exists, and then people become unconscious.
Yeah.
I wonder what that's all about.
Yeah, that is Rayleigh though, so that's
Yes, so
We're
we
already-
should talk about Rayleigh as
I
a
think
whole.
we've already seen the next tier up.
Rayleigh is
up
pretty
near
close to the
top
ceiling.
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm
Right?
trying
Like-
what I'm trying to figure out is, I mean, no, that wouldn't work. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. But yeah, no, Rayleigh is on the level of Roger, which means up at the fucking top of the power scale. I mean, evidenced by the fact that he was holding
He's
off
just one-
Kizaru, considering that Rayleigh had basically been putzing around drinking for so many years.
Like about
He'd
20
literally
years,
been
yes.
retired for 20 years, and he'd been drinking and gambling most of the time.
And he just casually and no, he even implied that he wasn't taking the fight too seriously. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't actually trying to hurt Kizaru. Because he knew that if he
Kizaru
actually
Kizaru actually says when Rayleigh says that he should also try to help out the Straw Hats, Kizaru says, the fact that you're taking this so casually hurts my feelings, you know?
Yeah.
I love it. And Kizaru is kind of great. He's like kind of a dick, but he's like an amusing dick.
Mm.
Yes. Honestly, I feel like of the three admirals, he's just the most goofy.
You say that, but Aokiji is pretty fucking goofy.
Sometimes, yes, but I think Kizaru is the one who's
Also,
most consistently
Kizaru has
played
another example of incredibly busted fruit that he actually uses to good effect.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Rockstar,
no.
what are your thoughts about the fact that he's weaponized one of the most dangerous elements of physics? Effectively.
Well, one of the most dangerous elements of physics. There is always another one. There is always another one.
True, but like the fact that he's actually using light in a way that's kind of realistic and effective, that doesn't do anything for you?
I mean, I'd like to keep in mind we already have someone who works with gravity.
That's fair. That is fair. Because light does not in fact trump gravity.
Mm.
You are right.
Yeah, it's like I'm. That is the top. That is the top, right? That is.
Yeah, gravity's kind of one of those top tier things that. Ironically enough, I feel like Blackbeard might be another example of someone who, thus far, isn't really using it as effectively as he could have been.
Mm.
Well, I mean, still, still, you always get at this point the whole Dragon Ball Z breaking the planet in half sort of thing going on with all of these. So yeah.
But yeah, Oxar, do you have any? Did any of the supernovas stick out to you specifically?
Well, the whole section with all the battles struck me as sort of a okay. I know all these guys are going to be important. Man, this is a lot of them to keep track of right now. I'm just gonna take this whole thing largely as less a battle that needs to be kept in mind in detail, and more a sign of what is to come.
Mm.
Because we
That's
will
actually
be seeing all of them again. I am 100% sure.
Oh yeah.
yes. So that is actually a very good way of addressing it. But like in terms of character, did any of them stick out to you? Any individuals? Not as a group, but as a.
I mean, not even just characters, just design wise or power wise, just anything.
I was looking mainly at ones like Law and what's the other one? I was probably oh man, I wonder if I have in the notes which one other one. The other two captains were the ones that mainly
Law and
Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Law and Kid mainly because
I mean, yeah.
They're the ones
that showcase.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was the whole scene with like the three of them together, and
that is a pretty fucking great scene.
It is.
And you know it's happening again to some degree, though probably in a more adversarial light later.
Also, don't expect to see any explanation for most of their devil fruits for a while.
Mm.
Yeah, no. Though some of them are kind of self-explanatory.
Pretty straightforward. Like Kid is obviously magnetism.
Yeah, Kid is explicitly his power is magnetism.
And X-Drake is very clearly an ancient zone that turns him into a dinosaur. Specifically, it's not a T-Rex, by the way. It is not a T-Rex.
Mm.
It's one of those.
I won't say what it is.
I won't say what it is because I forgot what it is. It's not really like aside from the specific name of the fruit, what dinosaur he turns into isn't that relevant. But like the fact that we
Allosaurus.
see a new
Allosaurus. That's what it is.
Allosaurus, yes.
Yeah, so we see a new category of Zoan.
Mm.
Ancient
Zoans. Which is this the first one we've seen? I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So apparently Zoans have subcategories that are rarer than others, and ancient Zoans are one of them.
Mm.
Yeah, we actually don't see a lot of ancient Zoans during the course of the series. I think X-Drake's the first we see for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so Hawkins is weird.
Mm.
Mm.
Hawkins is voodoo, apparently. It's very unclear at this point. Huh?
Card guy?
Yes, the tarot card guy.
Yeah.
Yes. With the dolls.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we do not see Ancient Zone for a while.
Though when we do see them, there's quite a few of them.
Mm.
Yeah.
The vast majority of them appear in the most recent manga arc. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Other thing.
But we've
limited view of the future. The limited view of the future through the cards. That definitely has something to it. I mean, I just noticed that it's not straight up seeing the future. There are the probabilities.
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting thing.
And
you brought up the fact that probabilities are weird in this universe. That is actually addressed in universe by Hawkins.
Mm.
Because his power essentially allows him to run probabilistic calculations, except it never quite works out the way he wants when some of the more important characters are involved.
Luffy.
Yes, the answer is Luffy.
But we
and kind of Zoro as well. Zoro gets in on that action.
But we forgot one of the most important characters in regards to the supernovas. Nobody has mentioned Beppo yet.
Oh my god, you're right. And probably the single most powerful character introduced in the entire series on cuteness factor alone.
And here's the thing. Beppo, like Chopper, is basically treated as a pet in terms of bounties, so he's only got a 500 berry bounty. If he was actually treated seriously, do you think he would be one of the supernovas?
No, but only barely shy of it. I think he'd
Hmm.
probably have like somewhere in the 80 to 90 million range.
Yeah, I think. Oh, right. Have we talked about the requirement for becoming a supernova? Is
Over 100
100
million
plus
berry
million
bounty.
berry.
over 100 million in your before you reach the red line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Luffy hit that like
Luffy hit that a
at
while
the
ago.
beginning of his journey. Yeah, and I think
Fucking Alabasta.
When
yeah.
did Luffy
So
hit
Luffy
that?
and Kid are kind of set up as foils for each other.
Hmm.
Yep.
They're also notably the only two captains whose subordinates are also supernovas.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Zoro and Killer are also kind of
Hmm. Very much so. Yeah. But
I
with
think
Also-
Zoro and Killer are also the only supernovas without devil fruit powers.
also on a subject of terrifying devil fruit powers used. What are your thoughts on Law's devil fruit, Logstar?
God, which one was that again?
The one where he does body horror.
Law's the guy with the seal hat that has a huge ass sword next
Hmm.
to Zoro in the picture.
The one that stuck people's heads to other people's crotches and things like that.
Oh, and barrels and shit.
Yes.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I wasn't sure which one was doing that because I was kind of still doing the whole this will come into play later, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
way
his thing.
chaotic for now. Yeah, that was the whole
It's-
way too chaotic. But yeah, that's. I have the feeling that's not going to be used to its fullest extent just because of the nature of the manga.
we'll see.
Well, actually, things got pretty real in this. You know,
Yes.
I wouldn't
So-
actually put it past him to just have like, as I said, like Junji Ito presents.
Uh,
Also,
we'll talk again after the time skip.
Also, Rouge, as far as we know, doesn't have a devil
does.
fruit.
No, he does. He explicitly does have a devil
His
fruit.
muscle
Does he?
expanding ability is.
Yeah, his
Is it?
he apparently it's not specified, but in the SBS and additional supplementary material, apparently he has an ability related to turning damage into power. Like it's something along the lines of it allows him to increase
Oh.
his power on the amount of damage he takes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does. He does have a devil fruit. It's just he's one of the ones who's he has one of the more he has probably one of the least flashy devil fruits in the series.
Well, based
Yeah.
based on the wiki, literally the only time it got mentioned was a data book.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No,
No,
I
but
believe
the
Oda
data
has
books are all
said-
canon. So
Oh no, they
Yeah.
are
Oda
obviously.
has
Yeah.
said explicitly that the only supernovas who don't have devil fruit abilities are Killer and Zoro.
Fair enough.
Everyone else, all the captains have devil fruit powers.
which
Then
is
speaking
just
of-
like kind of just reinforces how awesome Zoro is.
And Killer to an
I'm
extent.
sorry, I really like
Killer.
Zoro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
but, like
with
Zoro is better because
real
like
quick.
he's not a chuny.
Also, while most of them get a pretty good showcase of their devil fruit abilities, I think Bonnie is one whose ability is showcased the least, but it's also probably one of the most devastating ones.
It's also one of the most obvious ones, right? Like
Hmm.
it's age shifting.
Yeah, age shifting.
So
Which is-
theoretically, she could kill someone by just aging them up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Though
She
probably
could
there's
literally age
restrictions on
someone
that.
a second.
Or they could,
We don't know the.
or she could just turn you into a baby and like crush you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
But yeah, all of them have pretty awesome devil fruits.
You know, though, I think we have learned that restrictions don't really mean much.
funnily enough, there is a very specific deciding factor for restrictions that actually comes up later. In the next arc, in fact.
Yes.
Yeah,
We'll
but
talk about
we
that
see
later.
hints about it here. But yes, shall
But
we get to the heavy stuff?
I
now
was
that
gonna
we've
say we've been
exhausted-
talking about
Oh,
the supernovas for most
one
of
more
the
question.
time.
One more question, Logstar.
I want to say
One more.
something real quick
Go ahead.
after Fuzzy says his.
Okay, so do you remember Shaki, the owner of the bar lady? Logstar?
Oh, yeah, Rickoff Bar.
Yes. So, based on your knowledge of how women age in this universe, how old do you think Shaki is?
How they age, she's probably like 80.
You are correct, but for the wrong reasons.
Wait, was that
He
like
aged really gracefully
was
for
that
a
like
woman.
actual number or close enough actual?
She's
He
close.
is about
She's
the
in her.
same age as Rayleigh, who is in his late 70s.
Based on the
She's
wiki,
actually
she is
implied to be older.
62.
Oh, okay.
No, because okay, Shaki was an active pirate 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she is in her 60s, which
Minimum. Because
she
remember,
looks,
active pirate
looks
doesn't mean
half
she was
that.
just starting out.
In the
Right?
in the sixth data book, she is said to be 64 post time skip.
Yeah, so
He looks half her age.
yes, and what's interesting is the fact that she is the first example of a female character kind of aging gracefully in One Piece.
Yeah.
Kureha aged pretty gracefully, aside from the face.
Yeah, but like you know what I mean is that like she is the only character in canon who still looks the same. Like she still looks young despite the fact that she's old.
Mm-hmm.
Even the men don't really age they age visibly, right? Like most characters age visibly in this universe. The only exceptions are Shaki, and in an SBS we've gotten a look at what Nami and Robin would look like at age 60, and they look basically the same.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like there's a very specific decision. It's like how well the character is going to age. That was my guess on that one. It's
Also,
like,
apparently we also got to look at what oh, interestingly enough, we actually got to look at what Luffy will look like when he's 60, and
he
he's
looks a lot like Garp.
Yeah, he's almost a dead ringer for Garp.
On the subject of Garp, like, let's be real, Garp hasn't changed that much either. Other than his hair
No, but
color.
Garp in his youth looked identical to Luffy.
Mm.
I'll show you the picture sometime, Logstar, of
Speaking of
Garp when he was
also,
young.
I love Garp's reaction to learning that Rayleigh is on the island. He's like, "Nope, not dealing with it. We already got enough on plate."
Yeah, no. Rayleigh is probably one of the few old monsters left that can actually like take on Garp.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, stupid question. Is there anything between aging super gracefully and aging really ungracefully in this?
Yeah, no, Rayleigh aged pretty well.
Yeah, it seems so. It's the problem is Kokoro. She's kind of the odd woman out. In that,
We
no,
can
here's
talk
the thing.
about that more when we get more examples of it later on.
Yes, but for the most part,
I want to actually get into the meat of the arc.
yes,
right now,
okay.
because we are
Slavery
getting lost in
exists,
the branches.
and Luffy is against it, and
Honestly,
That's a good
One
thing.
Piece has handled slavery a lot better than most other anime. that I've
yeah, no, it's very much. It is in no way sugarcoated.
Also,
It is.
this art or this topic has one of the very few scenes that the One Piece anime does better than the manga.
Yes, yes, it does.
Are you talking about Luffy punching Charlos?
Yes, I am.
The punch is probably the greatest moment in the anime.
Honestly, it was one of my all-time favorite
Hands
scenes
down.
in any anime ever.
The
Yes.
punch that turns the anime into the manga.
Yeah.
It is.
Logstar will have to
Again,
send you a
Logstar,
clip.
I will show you the scene later, after the show. But Logstar, what are your impressions of the 1%?
The Celestial Dragons, as it were.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. One thing that disappointed me about it is that it was like, you know, they're not dead. It's like the whole scene ended up putting me into murder mode, and the whole disappointment of the fact that you know that's not going to happen. You can't really like them. I mean, that's clear, right?
No, but like the fact that so yeah, what are your thoughts on the handling of the slavery issues in this series in general?
Well, I mean, given that you there was the only real thing stopping people from being more cruel was think about what it'll do to the value. It it went about as serious as it possibly could have gone in the context. I mean,
Mm.
that was like, especially, I mean, just like going whacking him and like the guy committing suicide on stage, and just as I said, in the back you get, as I said, if you hurt her too much, it'll affect the value. That's like, oh, yeah, this is getting heavy. This is like really dealing with it pretty well. It is not trying to sugarcoat anything, as you said.
Yes, and I think that's better than most series do, and like it deals with the topic in a much more sensitive fashion than you would in any way expect.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So,
honestly, One Piece's handling of slavery is, as has been said,
not just slavery though. One Piece's handling of a lot of really serious,
it handles discrimination really well too.
yeah, slavery,
It's like
discrimination, classism.
like oh yeah, most fantastical depictions of fantastical discrimination are like, oh, we'll just map on real life discrimination to fantastical stuff. I'm sure that'll go over well. Whereas One
Cough,
Piece has a
cough.
much more
Attack on
unique
Titan.
take. One Piece has a much more unique take that's oh
It,
hey,
it's
this
you
is
know what
much
it's
more based
closest to?
off of what
It's closest to stuff like Zootopia and Beastars.
Mm.
I'd say Beastars more than Zootopia because
Beastars is Zootopia with balls. Let's be real.
yes, but
So
One Piece I think handles its discrimination stuff a lot better than most other series because most other series aren't really creative and just decide, oh, we'll just use this real life issue of discrimination and just map on these real life cases of discrimination onto our fictional setting.
Once
That'll
again,
work great.
once again, cough, cough. Attack on Titan. Cough.
Yes.
look, we'll have a roast of Attack on Titan.
We
Soon
have it
enough.
on the list of stuff to schedule.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it will happen, believe me. But uh,
Treatment of the fishmen and merfolk in the
that's
in
going
the
to come
setting are
come in later. But for the time being, yes, it does not very much goes into the reality of what slavery looks like in a universe with such distinct class and race divisions. And it handles it well, and as a result, Luffy punching Shark. This is one of the only times in the series where Luffy loses his cool in
Mm.
such a way.
Yeah, and it's hard to blame him.
It is, and it's like also we kind of haven't talked about the redemption of Hachi.
Mm.
I really appreciate how understated it is. Like, he already had his journey in the cover story, but at the same time, like, having him just show up and be a nicer person, and well, he wasn't all that mean to begin with, but having him show up and be a better person and having Nami forgive him, I think it was handled really well.
I will say there was also that little fun moment with the apology to Zoro. That was great. Like, I'm sorry I used my six sword technique on you. It must have been terrible. It's like, no, you didn't touch me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's like,
that was
it's like I'm not upset. You didn't hit me at all. You know why would that? It's like, so basically I got a breeze. Whatever.
I mean, just also the fact that how easily they tricked him into revealing his identity.
I also just absolutely love how once they realize oh, Hachi's actually not a bad guy. Okay, he's our friend now.
Yeah.
yeah, no, they're very much they don't take issue with forgiveness. And that's
They
kind
very
of something.
rarely hold grudges, though there are a couple exceptions that we can get into.
No, no, the thing is they don't hold grudges against people who sincerely feel remorse.
Yeah.
Right? Like they will absolutely like beat the crap out of you and follow you to the ends of the earth if they like if you're actually still a dick.
Mm.
But as long as you feel sincere remorse, they forgive you
Mm.
pretty easily.
It also probably helps that, let's be real, Hachi probably wasn't like one of the key people abusing Nami in Arlong crew. Let's be real, he just doesn't have it in him.
Yeah.
Hachi was easily the nicest member of Arnold's crew. That's not even a contest.
Yeah.
Hachi was definitely the guy who was peer pressured into it.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. I will also say, with regards to Hachi, I like that he is friends with Rayleigh, and it's just like, oh, this octopus kid saved me as when he was just a child and I was drowning.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be friends with him.
Yeah, no, and it's great. It's like Rayleigh like fucking does the coding on the ship, not because like Luffy reminds him of Roger or knows Shanks. No, it's because of Hachi. Your friends are Hachi,
Yeah.
so I'll do it for free. Fuck it.
I also love
To
how
be
they,
fair, even if Hachi wasn't involved, I'm pretty sure he would have figured out.
Oh, probably.
An
He probably
excuse to
would
do
have,
it for
but
free.
still.
I mean, yeah, he was looking for. He knew all about Luffy in advance, so yeah, that was gonna happen.
But yeah.
I also. Oh, there is one thing I don't think we mentioned. I think Kami is the first character who is introduced in a cover story to become relevant to the main story.
First, but not last, I think.
Probably not last, no.
Almost certainly
But-
not last.
It's the
I have to go
She-
back through 513 covers and SBS is done.
No, you don't. You should be fine.
It'll
It's
be
not
fine.
necessary.
I bet. I honestly, I barely read the cover stories, and I've been fine.
Cover stories aren't like super relevant most of the time. They're usually just a way of telling.
And honestly,
what
the
certain
cover stories,
characters-
you kind of just passively absorb them. They kind of just
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, like the CP9 one that occurs throughout Sabaody. It's
I mean-
mostly just CP9 doing goofy civilian antics
Yeah.
to raise money and shit.
I mean-
you know, still is what Otis said though. I'm probably gonna have to go back through that, right? Instead of
I mean,
just
if you're that worried, don't bother looking at the actual cover stories. Just look at like summaries of them, because
No, don't bother looking at them. Just ask us.
yeah, all the
We can
tell
ask
you.
us.
Between the three of us, we probably have the answers.
No, I mean also at the end because I haven't been reading, the little Oda's little corner.
The SBS is okay, but anyway, we're getting a bit off topic, and we're kind of running a bit long today. So
I do want to mention that it is quite nice that after all of these arcs where the Straw Hats get themselves into massive amounts of trouble, finally they can't get themselves out of one.
yeah, it is kind of. This is basically the wake up call arc.
Yeah. No, like after Luffy punches the Celestial Dragon, everything starts going to shit.
Yeah.
And for a very good reason, because it's like, yes, was he completely right to do so?
Yeah.
Absolutely. However, the problem is that it kind of highlights the fact that you can do good things, but you always have to be strong enough to deal with the consequences. And this
Yeah.
is one of those situations where he isn't strong enough to deal with the consequences.
Resulting in all of the Straw Hats being blasted away by Kuma. Which,
Yeah.
as I said earlier in the stream, is results in probably my favorite Brook dead gag. I'll protect you, even if it costs me my life. Oh, but I'm already dead, I suppose. Gone.
I also
He didn't
find
even
it
get to
really,
finish the joke.
I really find it. I don't know if this was on purpose, but I think Oda definitely meant something when he had Zoro be the first to disappear and Robin to be the last. Because Zoro being Luffy's first crew member, and Robin being the one that Luffy went to the most trouble to save and keep on his crew, it's likely that Oda definitely set it out so that they would be the first and last, respectively, to disappear in front of Luffy.
Possibly.
That said,
I mean,
I will say the Monster Trio versus the Pacifista was awesome.
That was awesome. Also, Zoro using Ashura against the that one pacifista is the last time we see him use that technique for quite a while.
But yeah,
outside of a movie.
But yeah, I'm sure that Oda is like compiling a bunch of like stuff he's put in that nobody appears to have gotten, and at the end of the series, he's just going to publish them all and say, look at these that you didn't get.
Oh my god.
Though, there's another thing. I think one thing that's kind of hilarious is the fact that apparently everyone knows, like the Marines and the world government, they know where Rayleigh is. They're just like too scared to send anyone.
Yeah,
they
no,
know
they know
it's not worth it.
It's that's the point. That's the point of
that scene with Garp.
Well, yeah, the scene with Garp, but I think that's the general point of with the emperors as well. They know they don't really have the the resources to go after them properly.
I mean, yeah, but part of that's because at this point they have to be pretty sure that they don't have perfect loyalty in play. I mean, that's why that's why there's a vacation instead of just murder, right?
So vacation instead of murder, the reason for that is a bit more complicated than you might think, but it'll come up in a bit.
It is related to what Kuma whispers to Rayleigh that we don't hear.
I would also say we don't. I would also say we don't 100% know exactly why Kuma did that even now.
I mean, the thing
have
that comes
an idea.
Play off of that though is that it's just the point that you do not have perfect loyalty. You don't have like, okay, I've got my orders, I'm gonna do them. There's a lot of
Garp is an example of that, right?
Oh yeah, no, that
seemed at first blush when we first met him. He seemed to be the only loyal warlord, but this arc in particular just demonstrates that no, even Kuma has his own agenda and his own ideas.
But yeah, basically, it's kind of a look at the fact that the world government and the Marines are not a monolithic organization.
Right.
There's factions and agendas within it as well. And the thing I think is very interesting is first of all, we know why Rayleigh didn't take the fight seriously and why Kizaru wasn't really pushing himself to try and push Rayleigh, because they both knew that the moment one of them escalated, the consequences would become unpleasant for everyone involved.
Yeah, we will see the sort of consequences that powers at that scale fighting will create in a few arcs' time.
Yeah,
we'll also see the consequences that an individual can have on, the world government as a whole. But
a few arcs from now, we're going to see what the power ceiling looks like in action. We'll say that.
We'll see a version of the power ceiling.
Oh yes, right.
But anyway,
there's
I think
other looks at the power ceiling, or rather, we will see the power ceiling without getting a proper explanation for the power ceiling.
But I think unless anyone else has anything to say, that's probably where we should end it.
Yeah,
Wrap it up.
We haven't quite finished up the one thing though. Like at the end, in the last 15 chapters, it was just nuke after nuke. Now the little story of the Pirate King not really getting captured.
The fact that he turned himself in.
Yeah, the guy turned himself in, knew they were gonna kill him, but he was gonna die anyway, and use his last words to just light up.
Oh no, it is a serious fuck you to the world government.
Oh yes, I will also say in that same scene that is revealed, I love how when Usopp asks Rayleigh about the One Piece, Luffy just shuts him down hard.
That is probably the only example where Luffy explicitly gets angry at one of his crew members.
And that comes directly after Nico Robin passes on all the answers.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of just like it's a journey before destination situation.
Yeah. They
Luffy
want
would
the
make a great
answers.
Knight Radiant.
Oh, what order would he be in? Edge dancer.
Smith,
Yeah, that Bondsmith makes sense.
Luffy. It's his entire thing. His superpower is that he makes friends and brings people together.
Yeah.
Not wrong. Anyways, any other comments or theorizing from Logstar about Sabaody?
No, I'm good. Only the obvious stuff, but that's it.
I mean, what you think is obvious might not be obvious to us, so please
Well,
Yes,
elaborate.
so the lines where it's like, it's like PX4 blah 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 on the line. It's not like they can create humans from scratch. It's like, well, that says that that's exactly what they're doing right there. Well, to some degree.
You have no idea how correct you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, with that one being obvious, it's like the only reason that line's there is because that is exactly what's happening. But I'm done now, and I'll shut up.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
Uh, Were there
we're
any
going to be-
events that we didn't cover?
I think. Is this the first time we see or hear mention of Doflamingo?
Yes,
no,
this is the first.
got introduced a while ago.
No, we saw him, but this is the first time we see that his larger kind of agenda, and he says, "Yeah, slaves are out of fashion now. That what's in fashion is smiles. So he's selling smiles."
Mm-hmm.
Now, what that means, we won't know for quite a while, but Dofi is up to some shit behind the scenes.
And with that ominous statement, thank you for joining us, Mel.
You're welcome.
Jack, thank you.
You're welcome.
Logstar, thank you for allowing us to drag you kicking and screaming through One Piece, and I hope you're still enjoying it, because I know it may have been a bit tricky at first, but I think you're really getting into the meat of the series now.
Hey, I didn't do this one last minute, so that says something. But thank you.
Yes.
Speaking of last minute, we do have to say that we are not going to be covering One Piece next month because we are doing all 4 of our main videos next month are going to be Pride Month themed. So our next One Piece video will be in July.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so look forward to that. And what do we got going for us next week? We are
Jujutsu Kaisen's anime
anime
content.
stuff.
No, I mean just the week as a whole, because I believe on Monday,
yes,
Mill and I shall be
starting the Mass Effect Legendary Edition,
in which we don't know who's going to be playing yet. We could even alternate stream to stream.
I think that's what we're gonna do. But yeah.
Probably best for me to play first so I can get the tutorial experience.
Mm-hmm.
Though, Fuzzy, with you around again, Manifold Gardens got to be back on the table.
Yes, we will probably try and fit some more Logstar and Fuzzy streams as well. But next week, immediately, Monday...
So wait, are you guys planning on doing a Renegade run or a Paragon
and Lunky
run?
too.
We'll decide when we play. We let's see.
Paragon until death.
You ruined it. You ruined it. Now I'm leaving.
But yeah, tomorrow we will be resolving our D&D cliffhanger that we've been sat on for 2 weeks.
Oh god.
And yeah, so thank you everybody. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube as a VOD, please like and subscribe and all that jad. Why am I bad at words? All that jazz. And if you're watching the VOD on Twitch or if you watched live, please consider hitting us with a follow. It helps out a lot. And we have a Patreon and a Twitter, but we don't really have anything on it right now. We're still working that out. So yes,
I mean,
thank you everyone,
the Twitter,
and have a good night.
The Twitter is the best place for
yes,
to learn about when streams are going to be. But yes.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us, and have a good night. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.